Our concept of time is a vessel for which lies the potential inherent to humans. I've found that there's two main subset categories for this time usage, the usage of what time we have. There's time for what's necessary to live in modern society, such as working, and time for oneself, which could be any sort of pursuits that the individual so chooses, like going out with a friend or developing themselves and their individuality. With that established, one could thus easily come to the conclusion that perhaps time is the most valuable thing to us. Not because of some value inherent to the unit of measurement, but instead from how we can derive value from it. A second, or minute, or even an hour, is not valuable until you ascribe value to it, same as all things. And with that said, does it not make sense to protect this primary resource of ours? Because the time we have under our disposal is finite, and that is the part of the equation that gives it its value. Because of how limited our time is, do we not have a responsibility to take good fucking care of it? I'd say we do. So now, we've established a decent basis on the value of time. It's a very finite resource that we have to protect, but it is also a key tool for which value is derived, in general. But what about money? The main thing people focus on when you talk about time value. I'd say there's three things money can buy: material possessions, relative safety, and methods to optimize current time. I think the first is fairly self-explanatory. You get your first paycheck as a teenager and maybe you buy some shoes or something. You know, dumb shit teenagers buy. The second is what I find to be the most important and arguably the most sought after one, which is financial security and the resulting safety. I find people overlook just how important it is to live in like a quality area or one that isn't fucking completely stricken by poverty, not only because of the relatively higher standards of living, but also because of the people within, the people living in those environments, those neighborhoods. And I think it's common knowledge by now that as monthly income goes down, propensity or likelihood of committing petty crime and the like increases substantially. Alongside this, lower income people tend to be disproportionately addicted to whatever fucking substance they're cracked out on. So not only are they going to be more likely to fuck your shit up just based on the fact that their lives suck more, but they're also gonna fuck your shit up even harder because of whatever the fuck they're spazzing on. It's just not a good time, is it? As we may gather from this, a poor person cracked out on some fucked up drug is a hell of a lot more of a constant threat to you than some middle-aged white woman walking her loud-ass dog, and I'd argue it's worth the trade. More than. Financial security is just a good thing in general. It's a hell of a lot less stressful to not have to worry about groceries or paying the bills. And it's common knowledge that people live longer lives without chronic stressors like that, graying their hair while they're still in their 20s. But I ask you, at what point is it enough? That is an important question to ask, is it not? Because more often than not, something called lifestyle inflation leads to people getting more than they bargained for, and it leaves people in an endless loop of paying off shit they don't need, and then buying more shit they don't need nor care about, ad infinitum till death do they part. I don't know about you, but working crappy hours endlessly until I keel over does not sound like my kind of life. So I would encourage you to make damn well sure you don't fall into that trap, because once you're in, it tends to be hard to get out. But back to the original point. At what point is it enough? How much capital would you like to stockpile? Are you into the simple life? Are you going to retire watching the sunset with your wife and your kids? Or maybe you want to be a dragon and hoard as many gold coins as possible in your den of greed. Well, either way, there's one important point to be made about both approaches. That being, money takes time to accrue. Remember time? I talked about it before, that clock ticking in the background of the universe, counting the days until you can count no more. It hasn't stopped. and it will not stop for the endless pursuit of material wealth. It tends to be the case that as we age, we realize the futility in the dragon mindset of participating in the greed and filth, and we come to regret the many hours wasted for nothing. One characteristic of richer people, in general, especially as they grow old, is their appraisal of the value of their time. They don't tend to waste time, nor do they take it lightly. We might ask why that may be, and I'm damn sure it's because they both know how monetarily valuable their time is, essentially how much money they can make from it, and how limited their time is because they're human too. Our rich, evil, blasphemous overlords are as flesh and blood as the rest of us, despite what it may seem, and they're more than likely to care about their time a hell of a lot more than the people I see everywhere around me. They optimize their time to the fucking max, haven't you seen it? They're ruthless, but optimization is multifaceted. It's not only that they make better use of every second available to them on this earth, but they also give themselves as many seconds to squeeze dry as possible. That's why the phenomena of the personal chef and chauffeur exist. As a wise black woman once put it, ain't nobody got time for that. And she'd be right in this case. You do not have to expend mental energy driving when you could just get some wagey to do it for you. Isn't that right? This effect is cumulative. These little habits and behaviors allow them to thoroughly make use of their lives to the fullest extent. Because for now, for instance, if they plan to visit family, they are no longer burdened by any mental stressors they haven't dealt with. Nor do they have to worry about driving home or doing any menial shit because they have it all covered. We are not and will not be able to buy back our time. We can only make the best use of the time we are given as possible. And we can take a page out of the books of the rich to learn how. Understand its value. Understand the sheer loss you are experiencing every hour you burn on some dumbass shit. And most importantly, understand how fucking vital it is for you to figure out how to solve that. Because time is all we have. And the clock is always ticking.